So, I have an addiction to roguelikes. Can't get enough of them. I want to play it and review as many as possible. So I have created a tier list. Well, kind of. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm JammyGiraffe, an English idiot and addict of roguelikes. But why do I love roguelikes? Is it the vast amount of different subgenres covering all areas of gaming, from deck builders, bullet hell, tower defense, action, roguelike, platforming, turn-based strategy? You name it, there's a roguelike for it. It's the fact that they breed so much creativity, and addictive gameplay loops that push you to just get good, constantly in pursuit of that final run that you need. Well, honestly, it's all of these things that I seek out in my gaming. And over the last 5 years or so, roguelikes have gone from having kind of a few classic, games that stand out, if you like, to now they seem to be the go-to indie game that they're going to develop. And there's now hundreds, maybe thousands of roguelikes out there, which I love for the world of gaming. In the past, I have done tier lists to review and compare, and I mean, who doesn't love a tier list, right? But you can't review them all in one tier list, and with new roguelikes coming out all the time, and then roguelikes having good or bad updates, it would change the roguelike tier list every time. Or how about a different form of tier list? I present to you the tier wall. The idea, in short, is a tier list that has a sliding scale. So as I review a game and we put it on the wall, it can move up or down depending on new releases that might affect your opinion of that game, or DLC, news, maybe arguments from you guys. I'll be reviewing roguelikes regularly as part of this series and adding them to the wall, so it constantly evolves. And the other roguelikes could change, where we see a particular game depending on their results also. A good example of this would be Hades 2. Is it better than Hades 1? It's only in early access, so does its result change when it's fully released and we have to do a little bit of a re-review and re-look at it? All of these things could affect games. And as I said, moving forward, I'll do some more in-depth reviews on an individual basis, but right now we need a few entries just to get us started, so I'm going to do a few brief reviews of a few games, few roguelikes to add onto the wall. To start with then, Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac is a classic amongst roguelikes, a true pioneer. You play as a little boy called Isaac who's running away from his mother, who has been told by God that her son is possessed by the devil or the demon and that she needs to kill him. Dark, I know. It's a twin stick shooter where you are going from room to room after diving into your basement to hide from your mother. So you need to make your way from room to room, killing monsters using your tears as bullets. Obviously, you're progressing through this labyrinth, finding power-ups, coins, bombs, anything that can help power you up so that you can make your way through the rooms, through the levels, through the floors of the basement, which increase in difficulty. And you need to become stronger and stronger in order to destroy your mother's heart. Now, one of the beauties about this game is the fact, right from the start, everything is the same. Every run you do, you choose a character from about 15 different characters, eventually through unlocking them. And each of those characters has maybe an item or two they start with and a set amount of life and damage, etc. But every single run is procedurally generated and random. And you'll come across multiple items. Now, the items in this game are what really make it. There's over 500, I think, items in the game which augment your tiers, your speed, your power, etc. And every single run is so unique. You can have runs that go horribly wrong and runs that go beautifully well, like any roguelike, right? But the other thing about this game is the artwork. The artwork is quite grotesque, but it has its charm. The enemies range from little poos to literal fetuses. It's pretty dark, but beautifully done, and somehow it's still cute, which seems a bit odd. The music is, it's all right. It's there in the background. It's nothing to write home about, but all in all, it's a fantastic game. The addiction to the gameplay loop of getting better and learning the items so you know what you're picking up, because there's no hand holding in this game whatsoever. It is what really draws you in. As a side note, the developers have actually got a new game coming out soon called Mugenics, which is a tactical role-playing roguelike life simulation, according to them, which is a bit of a mouthful. To me, if we're going to rate this game, though, it's probably going to sit in epic for me. Now, I would put it in legendary. I'd smack it right into the legendary tier, but there's a few things that other games have above this that it just doesn't tick those same boxes. It would be story. Yes, there's a loose story in the background, but it's not like there's character development or anything like that. For me, it's always going to be very highly regarded and have a place in my heart because it was one of the very first roguelikes that I really got into. Don't get me wrong, I've played older roguelikes, I've gone back and played many other roguelikes since getting into them in this way, but it was one of the first originals that I really loved. So my pick of where it's going to go on this wall is, I think it sits slap bang at the high end of epic. Now, I don't quite see it as legendary for the reasons I've said before. Please argue in the comments if you think it should be higher or lower. I'd be really interested to see your opinions. But we'll move on now, slap this one at epic, and let's go down a slightly different track, pun entirely intended, and we'll move on to Monster Train. So Monster Train is a deck builder, roguelike deck builder game, where you play as the bad guys on a train heading to hell. You choose a primary and an allied clan of different sort of races of monsters. These two clans put together form your deck of monsters and spells, etc., each with their own unique abilities and focuses. Your aim is to reach hell while protecting the pyre powering your train. The train is vertically in levels. Monsters enter at the bottom and they make their way to the top to try and kill the pyre. I say monsters, I mean the knights, the good guys, as you are playing as the bad guys, of course. You play your cards to interact with your monsters, and you have a champion, a king monster, if you like, that for each clan that you can boost and augment as you go further down the track. You come across multiple other events along the track as well, where you can change cards, remove cards, bloat your deck, do whatever you wish to try and change your deck to make yourself stronger and stronger. One of the things I really like about this game is there is actually a kind of multiplayer runs mode. It's multiplayer, but it's really just a high score leaderboard, but you're going up against other people. There's also mod support for this game, which can really change the game quite drastically. And don't get me wrong, I think there are better deck builders out there, Slay the Spire, which may be reviewed soon, or maybe reviewed higher than Monster Train, in my opinion. But I think there's something kind of unique about Monster Train that it has a charm. There's something that gripped me and others about it. On the more negative side, I would say after 20 hours or so, the strategies start to become slightly more stale in terms of what strategies you can take. I know they've done a lot of updates and they've added other clans and changed a lot of the cards, but I think there needs to be that little bit more creativity to what you can do in order to get further in the game. So for me, I think I would have to put this somewhere between sort of uncommon and rare, almost on the borderline, maybe slightly more uncommon. It's definitely worth a play if you haven't given it a go. It's definitely worth a look. They've actually, similarly to Binding of Isaac, the developers had another game come out sort of April time this year, 2024, called Inkbound, which is it's a turn-based roguelike, which is worth a look. But I haven't played it yet, so I'm looking forward to that. It's on my wish list. So we'll leave this one here around uncommon. And let's move into the final one for this video and today, which is Hades. I simply couldn't start talking about the roguelike war without talking about Hades. Now, I'm aware Hades 2 is currently in early access, as I'm 80 hours into it already, and I will review it, but right now let's talk about the original. Hades is an action dungeon crawler. You play as Zagreus, the immortal son of the Greek god Hades, with the mission of escaping the underworld and reaching the surface to find your mother. You wield multiple different legendary weapons during this time, swords, shields, bows, etc. And you receive different boons from the various gods of Olympus, most of which are trying to help you achieve your goal of getting to the surface. Reason being that your father Hades has tried to keep you from seeing your mother. The boons kind of change and adapt your attacks and weapons, giving you your ability to kind of customize your build, giving you elemental damage or, more arrows for your bow, as an example. You fight through different areas of the underworld, slowly reaching the surface, facing multiple bosses. While traversing the areas, you find multiple resources that you can then keep upon death to use for upgrades in your hub, which is the House of Hades. One of the things I really love about this game that a lot of other roguelikes will kind of struggle to rope into the story is, why are you doing multiple runs? Why are you dying and coming back? And in this, you're immortal. So when you do get killed, you come back to where you start. And even once you get further in the game, this doesn't necessarily change either. The gods themselves, though, are what really make this game. Each god is beautifully voice acted, and there's such great dialogue and writing in this game that make each of the characters beloved in their own way. I'm sure anyone that's played Hades will have a favourite god or goddess out there. But the gameplay loop in this is phenomenal. You actually need to have a good, decent amount of skill. Yes, you have to have skill in all roguelikes, but I feel like in this one, even if you get the right boons and you have the perfect customization, you can still fuck it up. Whereas you can't in a lot of other roguelikes. I think you can become very overpowered. In this, it's kind of difficult to get overpowered. They've balanced it so well. Throughout the whole game, you will be over the moon, pleased, having fun. You'll be gripped by the story. I don't want to ruin anything about the story because there is, an ending of sorts with this that is worth seeing. Now, most people should have played this by now. It's the same with the other two games, but I wanted to start with some older games that are a bit more classic. And this one has to be heralded as one of the best roguelikes out there. And I personally believe, with it coming out in 2020, I believe, out of early access, this is one of the roguelikes that actually pioneered the push in the amount of roguelikes that have come out in recent years, because it won awards for how good it was. There really is only one place for this on the roguelike wall. It is an absolute masterpiece. This should slap straight in at Legendary, and there shouldn't be any questions. I'm sure somebody is going to question it in chat, but to me, this is a legendary game, and we should keep it in that place. So, the tier wall has begun. I will continue to do some reviews of additional roguelikes. If you've got this far, thank you ever so much. Please like and subscribe, it makes a big difference. I also stream on Twitch, mostly roguelikes, as well as some party games, chatbot games within the community a couple times a week. Please join the Discord, all the links will be at the bottom. And more importantly, give me some comments. Tell me any arguments, any games you want me to specifically review. I'm going to continue this this series, and I'm also going to look to do some different genres. It doesn't just have to be games, but I'll probably look to do, say, a Souls-like or a Metroidvania, that kind of thing. But I appreciate any of the love you give. I'm JammyGiraffe. Stay positive, peeps. Thanks.